Well, good morning and welcome to another awesome episode here. We are streaming from Peter's channel this morning. I am Tim the Toolman Taylor, and this is my lovely assistant, Al. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's cold out, but it feels good.
And then the second he starts talking, he gets cut out. That sucks. Peter, FYI. Yeah, you're cutting out on me here just the second we went live. I wonder if that didn't if going live didn't just totally chop up your signal. You'd say something real quick?
You can't hear me at all?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay.
Just take a second.
That's weird. Working with new equipment, so
one of the reasons I wanted to go live on your channel this morning, Peter, is I want to talk about, like, I don't want to have to worry and stress about, like, talking about fishing topics and stuff like that. I want to just talk about regular stuff. So I've got a topic for you.
What's that?
I know what the 3 seashells are. I figured it out. I didn't look this up. This isn't a YouTube thing. I figured it out on my own. I know what the 3 seashells do. I know how to work them.
How is that?
What's that?
How does it work? Am I still garbled up?
Take a guess. Every now and then, yeah, it's cutting in and out a little bit. Take a guess. What do you think? Like, what do you surmise? Like, we've had 20, 30, 25 years to figure out the 3 seashells. At some point you have had to have tried thinking about the 3 seashells. What are your thoughts on that? How does it work? Okay. I'm still formulating an opinion here, but I think I have an idea. I think I figured it out.
I don't know. I've never really put that much thought into it, but I will say the prevalent theory is that one shell scrapes the butt, right?
Okay.
You scoop out all the leftovers. And then the other 2 shells, I don't know. Maybe they're there to look pretty. I have no idea. I never got past scraping. I don't know what else they could be used.
You're just like, as long as it scrapes, that's all I care about. Just get in there, kind of dive in like a little Dremel, get it all routed out.
I assume that there's toilets in those future toilets, which I guess are now in the past. But right, because that movie took place in like this year.
Did it? I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but I would imagine those toilets all have like bidets and stuff in them, so not much use for toilet paper. Maybe it's like a fan. Maybe you use it to like fan it down.
I got to thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? Like, if you were doing dishes, you have a 3-compartment sink. Like the process of cleaning things, it's like you wash, you rinse, and you dry. I don't think that's coincidence. I think that's what these 3 shells represent. It's wash, rinse, and dry. So you have one that has to get up in there and clean things out. And then you have one that has to rinse that off. And then you have one that's going to be drying things to get that. If you're not going to be patted down, you have to have something that's going to take care of those 3 things. Like, there's no other thing you have to worry about. There's no, moisturization process that is required to take place. You need stuff taken off, you need it rinsed, and you need it dried. So those 3 seashells somehow have to represent those 3 aspects of the cleaning process.
Okay, so you have a scooper, but
how
do you rinse with a seashell? Do you like dip it in water, fill it with water?
No, I assume they're controls for each, because it's got to be customizable. Sometimes there's a bit of a heavy flow. Maybe you don't need the scraper as much. Maybe you need the scraper on a delicate cycle.
Or maybe they're just like fancy buttons. Like, everybody is all trendy and using the same 3 seashells as like buttons to make the toilet. Like, you ever see Bob's Burger, the toilet episode with the super toilet?
When he did where he got the talking automated toilet. Of course, I've seen that episode.
Yeah. Well, maybe these are just like buttons or something. I don't know. Maybe they're not practical. I guess what I'm saying. They don't seem very sanitary if they were supposed to be practical.
I don't think you actually take the shell and use that to take care of anything back there. I don't think that's physically how that works, because you wouldn't have that in a public space. On Demolition Man, there would not have been public restrooms, restrooms that people could use at that police office that they were at, where they thawed him out. That was a public place. It was a place of business. So this is a bathroom that is utilized by multiple people, not just a family household. I don't see them taking, going in there and pulling a seashell off of the shelf to get around there and scrape things out, and then washing and rinsing, and then having a third one to dry. Because I think we've established that is pretty much what those 3 seashells are for. It's the 3 sink compartment or whatever. So if that's what they do, I don't really see how you could pull the shell off the shelf, take care of business back there, and then put it back on the shelf for the next guy.
Yeah. So they've got to have some other purpose. I'm like maybe they're but you know what else? They also never show the seashells, right? They never actually show them, so you don't know how big they are. They could, and the seashell is actually, we all imagine those little bowl seashells, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't specify how big they are. They could be like, or what kind of shell. You know what I mean? They could be like mollusk shells, which are like those long, skinny ones. Maybe like put it up there or something. And maybe it's not actually a seashell, but they look like seashells, and they're actually like butt pills or something, like that do all the work.
Oh man, we got Mosier Boy in the chat down here, and I got to say, I was chatting him up here a second ago, and I asked him if he had seen Demolition Man. He says he has not seen Demolition Man.
What? How old is he? So like, he's got to be like.
Mosier Boy's our age. He's in his 30s, or are you in your 40s?
But how could you not see that movie, man? That's a classic.
That is an all-time classic, Mo. You're missing out, dude.
Yeah, that's a great movie. It's not a sci-fi. It's a sci-fi, but it's like one of those cop sci-fi. It's like any Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. You know what I mean?
I was just gonna say, like, did you not see T2?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's a sci-fi, but it's an action flick. This is an action flick.
He's into music and documentary movies, and the dude is 44. I'll tell you what, Mo, you are looking pretty good for a 44-year-old dude. I thought you were like 38.
Well, I'd say Demolition Man is on the list of movies you have to see. It's got like the best version of Sandra Bullock.
Yep,
and
totally agree.
One of the best Sylvester Stallone movies out there.
I say it is the best.
I mean, I really like Rambo 2. I think Rambo 2 was my favorite. Rambo 1 was like all right, but Rambo 2, they really like honed it in, all the aspects of Rambo that we wanted to see, and they really put it in there. I think, and then Rambo, when they first started remaking it, and then they made the last one, well, the one before the last one, because I haven't seen the last one yet. Rambo was actually pretty good too, even though he was a bit older. That was a decent.
I do got to say, and I still hold fast, I think Demolition Man was the best of all of them, but I do got to say, I was never really a Rocky fan. Rocky's, they're good movies. I'm not knocking them. Yeah. But I will say the Creed movies, that they're pretty good. I give them props movies on that.
In fact,
they are not bad.
It's been a long time since I've watched the Rocky movies.
They do a cool thing because Rocky was Rocky, He's the Italian stallion. He goes in there and he gets in a fight with the big Prussian. I don't even know what Czechoslovakian. What's his name? The bad guy in those movies. Anyway, so he goes in there and they have their whole series of movies where they're all fighting each other and stuff like that. And then now in the 2010s, Sylvester Stallone is like, "Hey, I want to continue making movies. It's like I want to continue making Rocky. We made a lot of Rocky movies, but how do we do it for this day and age?" So he basically took it from the point of view of like, okay, well, there's this kid that wants to become a boxer, so he starts hounding the Italian stallion to train him how to do boxing, how to fight and do all that. So he starts training him, And then they start to envelop in the family ties and stuff like that from the previous movies. And I'll say they tied it in well. It is a good 2010s, late 2020s style movie. It's very well done. It's more storyline oriented than the old Rockies. It's not just like oil up an Italian dude and make him look sexy. They actually, although they do a little bit of that too, but they actually tie it in. They put a good storyline to it. They do a pretty good job. And even the sequel, Creed 2, was a good one. So, kudos.
Talking Sylvester Stallone, a movie that was pretty good. I thought it wasn't one of his best movies by any means, but Over the Top. That's another hilarious, like the funny little things they used to do in movies back in the day. Like the switch. The switch where he's like, okay, when I do where's the arm at? I'm gonna do the switch. They flip the hat around.
Yeah.
They flip the hat around and that's the switch. And now wasn't he like a truck driver in that movie?
I don't even remember. I think so. Yeah.
That was a good one. I get a kick out of these movies. But I think yes, Demolition Man is my favorite Stallone movie. I think Rambo would come in maybe second. The Rambo 2.
And we're talking just Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah.
I don't even know. You know what? I'm not the biggest fan of Sylvester Stallone. So I couldn't even tell you what my second favorite movie would be. Like Demolition Man stood apart. Outside of that, I mean, it's just kind of a jumble of decent action movies.
Like Judge Dredd was fun. It's not a good movie, but it's fun. Yeah. But I mean, it's not just Sylvester Stallone and Demolition Man. You had Sandra Bullock, the whole cast.
Wesley Snipes killed it.
Wesley, they're talking about making a sequel, and they're somehow bringing him back. You heard of that?
I mean, when you make these desperate sequels 20 years after a movie was successful, an attempt to try to milk a few extra dollars out of an actor that is well past his prime, okay, go for it.
All right, look, I completely agree. I hate these let's make sequels. Reboots are a whole nother thing because they can really mess up a reboot. Look at Ghostbusters. Yeah, it might have been a fun one-time flick, but who has ever gone back to watch the new Ghostbusters? I saw it in theaters, and that was it. I was not a huge fan of it. It was kind of funny, but it wasn't Ghostbusters. They didn't need to make it Ghostbusters. They could have made it anything and made a whole brand new franchise out of it, fresh, brand new. But when it comes to I was to say, go ahead. I was going to say about
I totally agree. The new Ghostbusters thing, I think, is the epitomal sequels are garbage. Trash sequels conversation. I think that sums it up completely. And that's not to knock those actresses. They're not bad actresses. People like to knock them like, oh, they ruined it. No, they didn't ruin it. Yes, they tried to make a woke Ghostbusters, and that sucks. Mm-hmm. But it's not their fault. I mean, they've all done respectable work in their individual fields, and they probably make a good team. But Ghostbusters was not their vehicle, or at least the writing was exceptionally poor.
It was cast well. It had a halfway decent storyline, and I mean, Chris Hemsworth is hilarious. But it's not Ghostbusters. They could have done everything the exact same, and then just called it something different. Or instead of ghosts, make them aliens, whatever. It doesn't even matter. They could have been ghosts. But now I have heard that they're making a new Ghostbusters with as much of the original cast, with a couple exceptions, of course. But and they're supposed to be tying it into that Ghostbusters, which is clever. If they do it right, it could be cool. Maybe alternate realities. Let's get into the multiverse, Spider-Verse kind of idea. But I mean, those guys are so sold. It'd be kind of hard to. But that's like a sequel kind of a thing, or a remake, sequel, whatever that is. If they tie it in, then it's not a remake. Then it's technically a sequel. So I guess that would count as a sequel. But I will say, it is possible to do good sequels.
Yes, it is.
I've seen them do good sequels. Blade Runner, for example. I love Blade Runner. The original is one of my favorite movies to watch, and the sequel is almost as good as the original, in my opinion. Some people don't like it, whatever. Maybe they don't like Ryan Gosling or whatever. But I thought, like, even Harrison Ford did a pretty good job in that movie. I mean, his character, they did everything, I think, right. Like, it made sense. It fit with the original, and it's an awesome movie. Have you seen the new Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah, but I think I've seen it in pieces and I don't remember much about it. So I can't speak too much. I remember enjoying it, but it was like one of those where I was like trying to make dinner and you know, I've got people asking questions, like Rachel asking questions or probably telling me that the stuff I'm putting in dinner is wrong seasoning and stuff, you know. So I think like there was something that was messing me up from being able to remember it.
Well, it's important to watch the first Blade Runner naturally if you haven't seen the first one in a while. But there's a thing about the second one that I like. He really captured the feeling of the first one. The first one's like this kind of like that lost. You don't really know where you're going. Just like he doesn't. He's an investigator. I mean, he's a Blade Runner, but he's investigating. You know, everything to the android. And there's like this sense of uncertainty throughout the whole movie that I think they really captured in the second movie. Like this, where are we going with this thing? With like maybe one exception in that movie that was weird. I'm not gonna really get into it because I'm not too sure how to explain it. But there's like one aspect that was a little strange, but it worked. It was fine. I guess it was the bow tie they needed to make it all work. But I don't know. On the whole, like that movie was pretty spot on, man. That's one of the best sequels I've seen.
Like one of the best. Is there a difference, but you think, between like having a sequel that comes out a year or two later, or like, I mean, like you were saying, it's not a reboot. If there's a movie in 1985 and now they make a new next updated version in 2020, you
like
know,
20
same
years later.
Is that a sequel? I kind of put that in a different category. That's a little bit of a reboot.
Well, okay, so I would say as long as the storyline is continuous from the original, it may be, you know, out of pace like 20 years later or however many years later when they made the Blade Runner, but it's still a sequel. The story continues. A reboot is where they just completely redo everything. Like the new Fantastic Four was a reboot, and it was a horrible, like a fail of a movie.
That was just them. That whole movie was just them retaining the rights to a Marvel enterprise. That's all that was.
The same with Amazing Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man, which actually wasn't horrible, I thought. I mean, it wasn't very good, but it wasn't horrible. They captured a few aspects of Spider-Man that the Tobey Maguires didn't do, and I thought that they were acceptable. But those were reboots because they weren't continuous storyline from the Tobey Maguires. Restarted the whole story arc, and like every Batman movie where they reboot it, like you notice that every Batman they have to go into his origin story.
That's always. You can't even get through through an episode of the cartoons or a panel of the comic books, like the old like Adam West comic book kind of stuff, without some sort of reference to the fact that somebody killed his parents. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, is that what Batman's all about? Honestly, I think
that's it. That is everything.
Batman's a pretty deep character, you know, like there's enough to work with where you don't even really need a backstory for Batman. Well, honestly, he's a rich man. He's sick of the BS and he just wants to fix his city. He's like the Donald Trump of Gotham, I guess. And he's just trying to like do his own thing. Why does he need like this, like his parent? Now he's one of the originals. So I guess he's got more claim to the backstory than some of the newer guys. But
I want to know what demographic, what person is out there in the world that is like sitting there watching a new Batman movie and going like, they killed his parents?
Oh my God. Yeah, right?
Who's shocked by that? Who does not know this?
Even in the Joker movie, like they've got to throw that in there. Didn't they throw it like at the
It's
end?
not even a Batman movie. Batman's not even in
Batman.
the fucking movie.
Batman versus Superman. They've got to rehash Martha. You know, we all know the Martha. No, you know, like mommy, and that was Batman versus Superman, and then of course every of the old Batmans. I will say that Chris Nolan? Those only did it once, and they really didn't like hang on it. You know what I mean? They never even needed to mention it in the new Batman appearances because they're not solid Batman films. Batman versus Superman is not a Batman film. It's a Justice League movie, basically.
Yeah.
Justice League Origins movie. So we don't need Batman's history. We don't need to know why, but of course, that was the big, like the bow, right? That's the bow tie, except it was a clown, a big clown.
But also,
tying it all
this is another thing that kind of drives me up a wall about this, is because I understand that it's exposition. It's part of the things that got Batman into the mindset in order for him to be like, you know, Batman. But there's no end game to it. There's no bringing this back around. And people have tried. They have tried, and I don't remember which ones, you know, which areas they do this at or whatever. But I know that there have been attempts to make it where it was like Joker that killed his parents, or one of these villains that he's fighting. We find out 30 years later that it turns out that villain is the one that killed his parents. Cut your bullshit. That is not the case. It was just a random act, and there is no like end game to where he is going to go find this person and kill them and then get some peace or solace. There will never be peace or solace in Batman's life. That is part of his character. It's unfortunate, but it is part of his arc. It's how things go. And quit trying to explain this nonsense away. Like, it happened. We don't really need to understand it anymore. We don't need to be told about it anymore. And you definitely are not. I don't care who you are. You definitely are not tying up the strings at the end of his, you know, story arc, whenever that may be.
Yeah, I mean, and who did kill his parents anyways? Do they even know? Because it could be the Joker. It could have been, was it Two-Face? I'm surprised they didn't make Mr. Freeze, or it could be just some whatever poor guy on the street, or like big question mark, I guess, in Batman and Superman. I think they went into it. And the Joker, they just hinted at it, but they didn't. I don't remember who it was. Was it just some random guy in the Joker movie?
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen Joker. I was not impressed with it like everybody else was. It was good. It was fun. It was not an Oscar thing to me. It wasn't that good of a movie.
It's like they went real Taxi Driver, right? Which is cool because that's cool. That's cool to watch, and it's fun. I was watching some other videos on that movie, and there was a few things that they really. There was another movie that they really like used template for the Joker movie, and you could really see the comparisons, and they did use a lot. It's artistic, which is cool that they're making. Somebody had the thought to make an artistic movie again, but I mean, it's Joker, so I don't know. I liked it on the whole. I really liked it. There were aspects about it that I thought were kind of like, let's glorify the Joker's the Joker. He's crazy. We don't need to understand his psyche, but ever since Batman: The Dark Knight, when we got that awesome performance from Heath Ledger, that we all want to understand the Joker now, right? Like, we all love the Joker and want to know his psyche. So this is all about the psyche of the Joker, and let's beautify, you know, I guess his mental disorder, like whatever. Let's make it beautiful. Other than that, I thought it was a pretty cool movie.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was well done, and I will give extra credit saying, like, I think that what's his name from the Joker that was in Heath Ledger. I thought that his was the best Joker by far. I don't think anybody is holding a lit match to him. And I know there's some things to be said for some of the other guys, but I think he's the one. Now,
I agree that I do like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, though. I mean,
I think I would put him second.
Maybe, yeah.
It kicks the shit out of that kid from Busted to Mars or Jared Leto. Yeah, I did not like his Joker. His Joker was garbage.
Okay,
in my
I
opinion.
think his Joker was supposed to be Joker number 2, which is actually Robin number 1, if I'm not mistaken. That's supposed to be in the comics. The Robin, the original Joker, like killed Robin, and then Robin came back and eventually came back as the second Joker. I think that's what Jared Leto is supposed to be because of whatever the tattoos. There's references that's probably who he is. So I'll give him the fact that he can do whatever he wants with that Joker. He can make it completely different, and it's fine because he's not supposed to be the original Joker. And in that regard, I'm kind of glad that they didn't explain it in the movie. I'll give him props for that. They didn't have to go back to his origin story just to make it believable so that we can accept Jared Leto, whatever his name is. I'll give him that. If it's that deep at all, like it might just be whatever. Like I might be thinking too much about this one, but we don't need origin stories all the time.
The difference between the Joaquin Phoenix Joker and Heath Ledger, I believe, like for one, I like the anarchy aspect of Heath Ledger's Joker. I buy that reasoning behind the character and what he does. But for two, I believe that character actually comes up with these plans that are really messing people up. They're crazy. It's out there. I buy all that. Joaquin Phoenix, I like the elements, the exposition. I like the explanation. I like the events that transverse in order to get that character to where he is. I like the backstory aspect of it. And I like the artistry of how they did the movie. However, I'm not buying that character is doing the things like that the Heath Ledger character supposedly did. You know what I mean? Like if they exist in the same universe, I don't believe that Joaquin Phoenix is the backstory. Heath Ledger is the actual main, where events happen. Yeah, and I'm not buying that character was able to pull off these heists. And so for that reason, I respect the Heath Ledger aspect of it.
That's a good point because Joaquin Phoenix is like a great Joker, and it's kind of fun to see how much chaos can be caused, unintentionally by your actions, because it leads to like this whole Joker group of people, like these rioters and everything. The whole city breaks out with Joker masks, but that's an interesting thing. But he had no control over any of it, and how could he ever even prove to the crowd, to the masses, that he is the Joker that they all love and worship? Like, I mean, I guess he was on the TV show, but he did not. He did not strike me as somebody that could like lead the masses to a Joker army against Batman, but which he would need because the Joker, almost in every format of the Joker, he has like a little mini. He has like a militia of Joker mask wearing people. He always had cronies to throw at Batman. But,
actually, the more like hearing you say that, the more I kind of like fall into that same mindset. I'm like, I don't see Joaquin Phoenix beating Batman. I don't see him being smart enough to he's got to be smart. He's got to be able to think faster than Batman because Batman's got a lot of money. He's got tools and technology.
So let's dumb down Batman. Let's get somebody like Robert Pattinson. Let's get the Twilight guy to play Batman.
Oh, and that brings it all around.
All right, Hollywood, I want you to hire somebody that we can believe can get beat. Like Robert Pattinson, let's make a Batman movie about him. We'll reboot Batman, or maybe throw it into the mix. Who knows? Who cares, right? It doesn't even have to be coherent to whatever else you're doing because you're DC. So let's just make a new standalone Batman movie.
I got two words for you. 2 words. Sparkly Batman.
And Sparkly Batman. That's good. And
anybody, hey, Rattlesnake, you get that reference?
Let's take a look at successful villains Instead, Batman's got a slew of villains, but let's take a tried and true. Joker's overplayed. We've done him. Let's take, I don't know, the Riddler. Let's make him the enemy again. I think that's there's a debate on whether or not this Robert Pattinson is going to be any good at all. I haven't really been keeping up with it because I'm not interested in watching this new Batman. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but I always thought Jim Carrey would have been an amazing Joker if they could hone his but check this out. You have to have the right director and you have to have the right writers because obviously in the Batman
that plays
Forever,
into what I was going to say.
Batman Forever, he could have done a lot better as the Riddler.
I don't want to see him as Joker, but what I would like to say before you get into that portion of conversation, I think that Jim Carrey would be a fantastic, if not absolutely penultimate Riddler.
Why? He was okay.
He failed at it. He did horribly, but the writers in the movie sucked. I think that he could get it right.
They tried to go in a whole different direction with that movie. They tried to make it way more comic book style, and it was not a very good success. I think the Riddler was not a good role for him because he basically just turned the Riddler into the Joker, like a clown, a big goof, a crazy goof.
Yeah.
And I think he'd have been better as the Joker.
I think he'd be better at Riddler today than he would have back then.
Maybe today, yeah, because he's a more developed actor now. Yeah. And he's got a lot of stuff under his belt. Like I never thought Jim Carrey could have made me like whatever it is, feel emotions during one of his movies, but like Eternal Sunshine, that was a great Jim Carrey movie. So
I can't even think of.
He can actually act, and there was the Truman Show, which is all right, but
yeah,
it was a good one. It was, I think, young. I don't know. People who don't analyze the fuck out of movies like I do would. I think they would appreciate his acting more, his actual acting. But I do like Eternal Sunshine. Great writer.
Yeah, I agree.
The great story. I still don't see him as the Riddler, though. I still think even being older, I think he'd have been a better Joker if they went to him and said, "Okay, we want you to be, if you were to take the Heath Ledger Joker aspect of the chaos thing, and then let's merge it with Joaquin Phoenix's mental twitch tics or whatever, like he does. You're to merge those two characters and pretend like you're Jack Nicholson, acting out that. I think Jim Carrey could pull that off. He's really good at it. Or maybe just
I do gotta say, Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger both deserve a huge pat on the back for what, in my opinion, is usurping Jack Nicholson, because not many people can usurp Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
both of you guys get a pat on the back. Jared Leto, you can go to hell.
I will say this though, one thing about the Joker, none of them are my favorite Jokers. I know everybody is like, everybody's like Heath Ledger, obviously. Joaquin Phoenix, he's amazing. But to be honest, it's not even Mark Hamill. My favorite Joker is not even Mark Hamill.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Because he's got more screen time, or he's got more time acting out the Joker than anybody. But yeah. I actually really like the guy that played the Joker in the old one, the old live action.
He deserves a lot more credit. I put that guy in the tier of Jokers. I think it's Heath Ledger. I'm going to say next would be Mark Hamill. And then I'll say Joaquin Phoenix. And Jack Nicholson, Mark Hamill, Joaquin Phoenix. I think they're all jumbled up. Like they're all tied for second. And I actually put the old guy, I don't even know his name, but the old guy from the old Adam West TV show. I put that guy up there, and then I had Jared Leto's down here.
Well, obviously Jared Leto's the bottom, but I mean, I don't know. Like I really like the if you ever read the comics, I think that guy really nailed the aspect of the Joker. I think I honestly never really liked Jack Nicholson's Joker. I don't see him as I have never. So I had to like keep my mouth shut because everybody's always like, "Oh my God, Nicholson Joker's best," and I had to keep my mouth shut. But I never really liked him as Joker. I don't see him as Joker. I see that original Adam West guy, the Adam West Joker. He really does like encapsulate everything that is the Joker, and his acting wasn't bad. It was just the time, like between makeup and cinematography. Plus, he was on a goofy. The Adam West show was really goofy and silly. If you were to take that guy and put him in like a modern day movie, just as he did, he would have nailed it. Everyone would probably love him more than Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And thinking about that, if you put that in the mindset, if you were to take that character and how it was portrayed in those goofy, comical Adam West TV shows and movies, take that character, that actor, even probably an older version of him. You know, he doesn't have to be a young Joker. Doesn't have to be a young character.
I don't see him as a young character.
I've seen somewhere they did him a lot older than Batman, and I kind of don't agree with that. But I buy that more than if Joker was younger than Batman.
That's another thing.
Maybe not. Maybe a younger Joker is a better. I don't know.
You know, that brings up to something that I actually didn't like about the Joaquin Joker movie, because this possibility that he's Bruce Wayne's brother is not something that I'm all about. I think that is just a cop out, right? Let's make them. It's one thing to be clandestine, opponents, but to say you're physically related, that's like saying that Ray is related to, I don't know, the Emperor.
It's fucking metachlorians.
Yeah, well, it's worse than metachlorians, because metachlorians are just some explanation. But at what point was Emperor Palpatine? Did he have the time to go like knock up some chick in the Senate to get to have kids? There's he's not even like he doesn't care about family or anything like that. Why would he even waste his time?
He didn't even have a bottom half to do this.
So, well, okay, he was okay. I don't understand why you said bottom half.
Well, like in the last Star Wars movie, Palpatine, like he was cut in half, so he didn't have the bottom half of the. He was just being carried around by that machine.
He would have had these kids because she's the granddaughter, so he would have had kids back roughly right after Episode 3, when he's just recently disfigured, which makes him the belle, the belle of the ball. All the girls want him after that, So after he gets horribly disfigured and starts to look like the Emperor we know, that's when he starts smacking down on the chicks in the Senate. I imagine that he would have one night stand it and not have anything to do with them afterward. Sit there and raise a kid, or even let anybody raise his kid, and then have them have their kids, and then they got to hide the kid. It doesn't make any sense. Just like Batman and the Joker do not need to be related. It means more when they're clandestine to fight each other rather than they're related, so they're siblings fighting. That's stupid. That's just bringing family drama all over Gotham City, which is the problem.
And for no reason. Like, it doesnis do anything. It doesn't enhance the characters. It doesn't
help them at all. It's a convenient little story. I did not like that.
This is whenever that happens in a movie, in a story, it doesn't matter. Whenever something like that happens, what is basically going on is you have a writer who's sitting there going like, I need a twist. I need it. What can I do to make this, to get to shock somebody, to give this story something they didn't have? I'll make them related.
You know what? That's like, okay, spoiler alert. Sorry, everybody who hadn't seen any of these movies. It's like in the Family Guy episode where he's watching, they pop in that movie, and he's like, it's a sled. What was that movie? I can't remember the name.
Yeah, Rosebud.
Citizen Kane. It's like, it's a sled. I just saved you 4 hours. That's hilarious. But I mean, you don't need these. And the Joker, check this out. the original Joker from the Adam West, he doesn't even need a backstory. You look at him and you're like, I don't give a shit what happened to him in the past. He's great. All these other Jokers,
A
you need
good
like
character
a
is a good character.
Yeah,
Yeah, a good character is a good character.
The new ones, they have to explain why, so you can understand how somebody could be like that. But the original guy, who cares? He's a goof. He's crazy, and he's the villain. You don't need a history. You know, Iron Man didn't really even tackle his history. He's the same thing as Batman. You didn't even have to get into his origin story until the Civil War, and then they did a quick Martha moment, you know, in Civil War. But honestly, I didn't laugh at that moment like I did in Batman versus Superman. I mean, we all understood. I think that was kind of like the scene where he's like, yeah, but you killed my mom. And then they like beat up Captain America or whoever. I don't remember who he beat up after.
I don't remember the scene, but
the Winter Soldier.
It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't play into my memory at all. And that was still like the greatest series of movies ever done.
Yeah, I agree. It's never been done like that before. And it was awesome.
And they still get it wrong. And everybody else is still getting this so wrong. You've had people do similar things, like the Lord of the Rings. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big fan of it, but I'll give credit where credit is due. And Lord of the Rings did it well because they went into it knowing we are going to make 3 movies. We are going to tie this together. It's going to be a trilogy. We're going to budget for this. We're going to make it good. Marvel did the same thing. Now, they got off to a bit of a rocky start because they had the Fox Studios nonsense and then, you know, Disney merger stuff that happened, whatever. So they had a rocky start in the beginning, and they were making standalone movies, but they knew that these were, you know, they were seeing it early on. These are going to be successful movies. Let's start slipping some stuff out there for these next movies. And they snowballed that, and they snowballed it quick. They snowballed that into by the 3rd movie, they knew they were going to be making 20 movies.
Yeah. Now the problem with Marvel is they were doing so good. They were doing amazing, and I hope they continue that. But with like Captain Marvel, they are like, all right, guys, let's test a woke movie real quick. And I don't know how woke that movie really is. Like, I didn't watch it and go, man, this movie is woke. You know, like I didn't feel like that. But I did feel like, what's the point of this movie? Like now, like they presented it like you have to watch this in order to understand what's going on in the Endgame, Avengers, or whatever. And it didn't need to see that movie. It really didn't help anything.
It didn't need to be made. Again, I'm not against it, but it did not need to have been made.
I mean, okay, so they want to make a woke movie, that's fine, or whatever. It's not even woke. It's just, let's make a girl movie. That's cool, you know. But now with what you're hearing about all the future of these movies, it's kind of like, man, I'm getting nervous that Marvel's gonna start going down that road, like they did with Star Wars. It's all Disney. And Disney's making some weird decisions lately. I thought Kathleen Kennedy was out the door, but apparently not. And what they did with Star Wars was, somebody put, the best way I've heard it is they took a franchise, even after George Lucas's prequel. You know, I watched the prequels and I didn't really like them. I liked the first one because Darth Maul. He's awesome. That movie was like epic.
They ditched that character way too fast.
It was like way too new. It was really cool. It was new. It was completely different, and it was exciting. Episode 2 is what kind of killed the interest for me, but I was still like, it's Star Wars. I was just waiting. I was holding out for episode 3 because I wanted to see the battle. I knew roughly the storyline, but because weird canon lore and all that other stuff, but I wanted to see it happen. I knew he got like mutilated by like lava, but I thought that his disfigurement was from actually falling in lava because it's something I read when I was a kid. But I wanted to see it happen. And man, we all know they could have done better, but they didn't do horrible. And then it's like one of those weird moments where as they're coming out, everybody hates them, but then 15 years later, they're not so bad, especially after this new trilogy, which is what's funny about that is you finally have put the nail in the coffin to where you can make hardcore Star Wars fans who've been Star Wars fans their entire life not interested in watching Star Wars anymore. Successfully, I don't know how they did it, because even George Lucas couldn't do it with his trilogy, his sequel or prequel trilogy. He couldn't even. He just split the fans in half. He didn't get rid of any fans. He stuck it to them a couple times with the Jar Jar thing, but he didn't like obliterate fans. After watching, like, that's woke, dude. The new trilogy is, especially part 2 or whatever, The Last Jedi. I walked out of that theater feeling like ashamed of myself because I wasn't a woman, and I don't even know how a piece of me was gone after watching that. Even after Yoda, I was super excited to see Yoda. And it wasn't like a CGI Yoda. It was like the original Yoda. A weird version of the original Yoda because he didn't look the same, but it was cool. But
that puppet had melted a little in the closet over the years.
That's what it looked like. And I still walked out of that movie going like, man, I'll never be a Jedi now because I'll never be able to join the Rebels. I'll never move up the ladder if I join the Rebels because I'm a man. I guess I have to go to the dark side. Unfortunately, I don't have any grandkids. I don't know.
You don't even need a lower half for those these days.
Yeah, I do like that they're bringing back Darth Maul. And then The Mandalorian happened. The Mandalorian is awesome, and it's only getting better. But I haven't seen the latest episode.
Yeah, let's not do spoilers on that because I know we got people here that are there's some Mandalorian chat happening in the chat. They're talking about it. No spoilers on that because there's people into it. But yeah, I am enjoying Mandalorian. I like the direction they're going with it. And the thing I like about Mandalorian, I think this is critical to the entire franchise. What they got right about this is exactly what George Lucas got so wrong about the original, the episode 1, 2, and 3. Now, I'm not totally against episodes 1, 2, and 3. I take that back. I'm not totally against episodes 1 and 3. Screw episode 2. Not a fan. I don't mind that it's new. I don't mind that it's new looking. It's not grungy. He missed that. He missed the grungy element of Star Wars. But it can start off like that. It's the beginning of a story, and you have to have a story takes dips and dives and things like that. So I'm all right with this. I'm just not a fan. But that is what they got so right about the newer series, particularly Mandalorian. It's not about, at least so far, it's not about Jedi. You don't have to have a fantastic lightsaber duel in every episode. You don't have to cut through doors and have all this magical stuff. It can be about the world that exists, of which the Jedi are a part of. That's what they were missing.
Rogue One proved that it could be done, and it could be done correctly. And I thought Rogue One was like really good, and I thought it was one of the best Star Wars movies out there. The Mandalorian is doing a great job. It had a little bit of maybe of a bumpy start, I guess, but everyone was so nervous that it was going to be horrible, but it's just getting better and better. I love The Mandalorian. And I have a theory on what could have made episodes 1, 2, and 3 even better. You see, original Star Wars, George Lucas directed and filmed a ton of footage, a ton of story, and it just wasn't working with the test audiences, right? It was his editors that went in and told the story that he was trying to get across.
Right.
Interesting. They made the story interesting. The editors did. And then he had to hands off the next 2 Star Wars films, Empire and Return of the Jedi. He didn't even direct those movies. He had to get somebody else to tell the story. He came up with these great ideas, and he's got this universe that he explains to them. But the editors,
which is his strong suit.
Which is his strong suit. Every time he tries to direct the whole movie and control it, THX 1138 was a great film. But when he went it's weird. The way he tells stories is weird. It's not the way most people think, and it's just not very. It's like he wants to go from the very beginning to the very end, and we don't need story. There's no story developed like devices or whatever. That's what he needed with episode 1, 2, and 3 was somebody in there to edit his movies differently.
He needed somebody to tell him no. He needed
Maybe.
somebody telling him, dude, this is a dumb idea. People are going to hate you. They're going to hate you for this.
I think, yeah, right. If he had that, or somebody, yeah, like you said, somebody in there to tell him no, somebody in there to kind of like help him get this idea across, because I don't even know where to begin with episode 2. That one, episode 1, I mean, he wanted to fund that entire movie, and he made groundbreaking developments in cinematography. Made that movie, which is his shtick, right? That's what he does every time he makes a blockbuster. He breaks rules and boundaries and cinematography.
They have to create new technology every time. Back in the day when they had to make new technology for him every step of the way.
And that was cool.
5.1 Dolby surround sound was because of Star Wars, right? I believe.
Yeah,
he invented that.
And with the episode 1, he broke groundbreaking CGI. We'd never seen CGI quite like that. That's because he personally funded the technology to make the CGI look like it did. And granted, it still wasn't perfect, but it was it was like the foundation of what we see now. Which, I mean, CGI is perfect now. Really got it down, and it's just getting better. That's because of what he did with that movie. But he shouldn't have been the one to tell the story or maybe even direct those movies. Everything else he did, that movie, episode 1, was still groundbreaking in many regards. He should have had somebody else direct that movie because it would have been much better. And episode 1 was actually one of the better ones out of the trilogy. It's like probably the best one out of the whole trilogy. Episode 2, he should have just not directed that thing at all. And I don't know how you go from episode 1 CGI to the episode 2 CGI, because it was way worse. It's horrible.
There was something though that needs to be said on this, and I don't know, and we will never know. That I don't think this will ever get discussed. I think the episode 2 was hot garbage. I think that was a terrible, terrible movie. That having been said, he was going a direction with that movie. He had things that he was planning on doing that all those plans got totally scrapped for the third one because they had to fix a failing trilogy after that movie. And I suspect that we are missing out, or we missed out on a Darth Maul reappearance, or the possibility of Jar Jar Binks actually being a real character that was, just the vocal stylings of that character turned audiences off so bad that it had to be rewritten. I think that there was a possibility that he might have had a bigger actual role in those movies. Yeah. I think you know what I'm talking about. Like, he was supposed to be like the possibility of him being a Sith Lord or whatever. He was going to be.
That's a fan concept. It's cool. It's a cool one, but
do you think these writers did a better job than him? Do you think he stumbled into a bullshit character, but one that could have actually, held some water according to some of these fan theory stuff? Do you think somebody beat him to that, or he actually maybe had an idea on that?
All right, I think somebody came up with that. I don't think George Lucas came up with that theory, but I think George Lucas's plan for Jar Jar was to make it some comic relief, like C-3PO. He's supposed to be the new C-3PO, but it kind of failed with the more the grown-up fans, the original fans, because we didn't have goofy cartoon characters like that in the original trilogy, so he put everybody off. But
and you never really could have made R2-D2. You're right. That's who he was. And you never really could have made any of those characters like the epitomal bad guy of the whole series.
Plus, if they had made Jar Jar one of the epitomal bad guys, that scrubs the Emperor, and Darth Vader's importance in the whole thing, right? That's like saying that all along Snoke was the bad guy, and then wait a minute, here's the catch: Snoke is not the main bad guy. Guess what, guys? He was just some guy we built up for no reason. I mean, anyways, make Jar Jar some super Sith Lord or whatever, like, that was ridiculous. It was a cool idea, but man, I don't think George Lucas had any intentions on doing something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I don't know. I like some of these fan theories about stuff, and there's some good ones out there. I kind of wish, I don't know how you would plan for this. I kind of wish they would let some of these fans write some of these stories.
They did
a good job on the novels back in the 80s.
Mandalorian's keeping Star Wars alive right now, but they're already planning to like, oh, what were they? They're making the same mistake again because when they put out The Force Awakens, they immediately put out the next year. They had this plan: let's flood the market with Star Wars franchise merchandise or films. Let me make The Force Awakens. The next year, we're gonna throw out Rogue One. And then the next year, we're going to throw out The Last Jedi. The next year, we're going to throw out Solo. And then we're going to cap it off with whatever the last movie, Force Awakens, right? We're going to just cram it out. It was too much, too quick, and it was too back and forth. Like, you have The Force Awakens. It's acceptable. It's an acceptable movie. But then you have Rogue One, and you're like, whoa, that's awesome. At least I was. I freaking love Rogue One. And then you get slapped in the face with The Last Jedi, and then you get kind of slapped in the face with Solo. Even though I do believe there are some redeeming aspects to Solo. There are a lot of things that I actually like about that movie, but on the whole, no, it didn't need to be Han Solo. It could have been It could have been Dash Rendar. It could have been anybody else, and it would have been instantly made it a much better movie. The fact that it was Han Solo is what made it horrible.
They should have. That was a terrible, terrible decision. The Han Solo movie was also hot garbage. I put it right up there with Episode 2. I kind of like it better than Episode 2, but barely, just because of the atmosphere.
But I mean, think about it. The only thing that makes it
Dash Rendar would have been better.
If it wasn't Solo, it would have. The movie itself wasn't half bad. It was the fact that it was Han Solo, and we're supposed to believe that this is his origin story that we never asked for. Like, it could have been literally Noob Badgoo or somebody else, and get rid of Chewie because he didn't do much in the movie anyways. And then boom, you've got a solid movie. Back to this exposition, but who cares? Good movie. But because we're supposed to believe Han Solo is like the birth of the rebellion, you get it? Yeah, they should have.
They didn't even write that movie. Like, all they did, there's no story. There was no anything that happened in there. All they did was they took a character, they put him in a place, subsequently moved him to like 2 other places over the course of the movie, just because they needed probably a change of scenery. And the entire writing, everything that they wrote for that movie was simply like, okay, Han Solo said this once in a Star Wars movie. So let's explain that. And that was the entire freaking script of that movie. It was just them being like, he said parsecs. Everybody calls us out for the parsecs thing. It's a unit of distance and not time, whatever the deal is. It's like, let's have some fun with this. Let's explain it. So they craft this ingenious way for there to actually be a race that could occur over time as opposed to distance or whatever. Just because in one freaking scene Han Solo said that, and that is the entire freaking movie. Is they picked apart everything he ever said in every movie, and they're like, let's explain it.
Like, here, I'm gonna make you a blaster. You'll never forget. You're gonna use this thing forever. Boom, here's your blaster. I don't know why you don't have one already, because it seems like everyone in this universe has one, but whatever, bro. Here's your blaster. You can use this for the rest of your life.
Dude, they wrote an entire part of that movie based on his pants that he is wearing. Those are military-issue pants. That's why he's wearing them. He's in the Royal Navy.
The whole military thing, that was actually, they wrote a story about Han Solo a while back, and that is his origin, sort of. The book's a little different. Like,
sure, cool. I'm cool with that. But that's not what they were doing, because at that point, Disney had thrown out all canon. They weren't going with that. They were explaining pants at this point.
From what I remember, he like defected from the military that he was a part of. He wasn't like kind of just breezing through, you know what I mean? Like, he was actually a part of the military and then left because he disagreed with it. That makes more story. That's like more character development than what they did in the movie, where he was like a grifter or whatever. He's like breezing through the whole thing without a clue. That's not Han Solo. Han Solo has tried and true techniques.
And they tried to make it where he joined just because he was in this. He had to join because it was the only way he could get out. And as soon as he got out, he tried to get away. dude, people join the military. Whatever country, whatever place, whatever planet you're from, people join the military. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a wrong decision, and we're not going to hold that against the character. They fluffed that whole thing.
You know, George Lucas should have gotten his good old buddy Steven Spielberg to direct episode 1, 2, and 3. That would have been something. Dinosaurs. Who knows what would have gotten if that would have happened? They could have teamed up, done that. But
all I'm saying is, I waited the entirety of the Han Solo movie. I was just waiting for some kind of just fourth wall breaking. Like, I swear I didn't shoot first. You know?
Oh yeah. I don't know if that. Man, I wonder if they're ever gonna fix that. Like whatever comes out, like we've got 4K now, right? And 8K is next. So when they make the 8K, you know, time loop vortex DVD version of the movie, are they eventually ever going to fix that? Because that is the epitome of his character, and they ruined it so that they could make a movie about him. I get that they're trying to make some money here with all these movies, but that's like my problem with Disney and what they did with the new trilogy and the Solo movie is they learned their lesson that cranking this stuff out isn't working for them, right? It flooded the market, and people were having a hard time catching up to it. They weren't anticipating and excited about it. So they put everything on hold, and now we're starting to see some Star Wars trickle out. And with a little bit of success from this Mandalorian, everybody loves the Mandalorian. And then, we need a Katano cartoon or like live action. We're going to need, Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which we're talking about for a long time. We've got some new Clone Wars cartoon that people are going to love. We're going to call them the Dirty Dozen or whatever. I forget what they call it, but the bad ones, whatever they're doing with it. We're going to make the last season of the Clone Wars cartoon that everybody wanted. We're going to give it to them. Let's just flood the market with more stuff that people can't keep up with. And man, they're going to slip some woke garbage too.
I hope that they're doing good. I like what they're doing with the Mandalorian, particularly talking about the Han shot first thing. They actually addressed that in their own way in this recent episode, and I commend them. They did it right. Good for them. I hope these other projects that they're planning on doing kind of follow suit with Mandalorian. You're right. Everybody is super, super sensitive about a lot of things these days. I hope that does not become a prevalent thing.
The Mandalorian is bringing back the fans that kept Star Wars alive for so long. It's bringing them back. The classic fans. And in
a good way. An enriching and engrossing way.
And I like how they do little jabs, that everybody has problems with this new Star Wars universe garbage that they throwing at you. I like how they kind of jab that a little bit. You know what I mean? They make like references and stuff that they're doing a good job with it. I just hope that they don't, like, with so many projects coming out real soon, I hope that they don't let that woke nonsense find its way in there, because there's no place for it. Make a whole new franchise if you want, Stop stealing franchises or hijacking these franchises and making them political, man. We just want to watch some lightsabers, some blasters, and, some Death Stars. I'm surprised they haven't done Death Star stuff in Mandalorian. That'd be cool.
Where does Mandalorian take place? That takes place a couple of years after.
I think it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Okay. So that's what I was thinking. It took me a minute because, without doing any spoilers, there's recent character developments that they refer. I won't get into it. You'll know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to do spoilers, but there's character developments where you see some characters from the past, and those characters appeared in episode 4, 5, and 6, but also appeared in episodes 1, 2, and 3, but it's the actor from 1, 2, and 3 who appears in Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it took me a second there to kind of place where I couldn't remember if we were after 1, 2, 3, after 4, 5, or 6 because of that that strange little character thing.
I love that. I love what they're doing.
I do too. I do too.
I think that's so cool. But anyways, like, I hope Marvel, because we were talking about the Marvel and Batman and Marvel and all that stuff. I hope, like, with these origins, so Captain Marvel, we didn't need that movie, right? Marvel is going, they're having a whole new phase that they're starting to get into, and I just am concerned that they're gonna end up, because Endgame had that. The woman scene or whatever, woman power, girl power at the end of that, the girl power.
I don't have a problem with that scene. I didn't have
a problem with it. It's just kind of like, okay, that's cute. You know what I mean? Like, give them their scene, whatever. I'm not like against girl being in movies or anything like that. It's like,
I felt the same about that scene that I would have felt with like a scene that's like Captain America, Iron Man, or maybe, you know, like Iron Man and Spider-Man, and they're back to back and they're fighting. I felt the same about it.
If they didn't have the girls get it done quote or whatever they said in that movie, I forget what they said, but girl power moments. That reminds me of like the Last Jedi, when it's like all these girls teaming up against the one guy or whatever. You know, they're all like hating on this guy. I had like a little PTSD moment right there, I guess. Like, I just don't like it when they slap you in the face like that. You're into the movie, it's cool, but I mean, if you want like a franchise, make a Metroid franchise. Make Samus Aran super cool, man.
No. I'm shutting this down. I don't want this. I'm done with this. I don't want the Metroid movie. Screw all of the red tape that is tying this up. I'm not even going to lie about this. I am formulating my own movie based on, you know, everything that people love about Metroid, and I'm going to name it Nernyod or something, you know, like I'm just taking this. I'm taking it and running with it. Screw them and their red tape.
You know who's pushing to get that role? Like, really hard. Been pushing it for a while.
For the lead?
For Samus Aran.
For Samus Aran, please don't tell me it's Brie Larson.
It's Brie Larson. She's been pushing Nintendo. She wants to be a Nintendo spokesperson, so she can like basically land herself that role, because she knows it's a huge role for her. I don't know if she would even be that bad at it, to be honest.
I can actually see her in it. Yeah,
I just hope they don't like make it just woke nonsense. Make it Ridley from the Aliens movie, you know? Make it Sarah Connor. Do something cool with it. Don't make it like,
dude, who would you cast? I'm not like Brie Larson is fine. She's not the perfect choice. I can't actually see her fitting in that role. It's just all the political nonsense around her that I don't like. I would say the same thing of Amber Heard. I just don't like all the nonsense that surrounds these human beings.
Everything she does outside of the movie, she didn't do anything in Captain Marvel that particularly offended me or whatever. But
I think it's her YouTube channel or something that annoys people.
It's all the stuff outside. It's all the little attention grabber things that she's doing outside of films, the big screen. That's annoying, right? And everybody that watches or whatever is involved, you know, she's got her big fan base. That's cool. I don't have anything against her. I just think that if you really want that role, there are fans out there that are really nervous. We're willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, but don't ruin it, man. Do something unique with it. And going down this woke path nonsense garbage is not unique. It's a trend, and you could be a legend like Ridley or Sarah Connor. What's another one? There's a bunch of them out there. They're classic female heroes. That's a role that could make you a classic female hero, assuming they don't go like Super Mario Brothers with it. The original Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't want to see Metroid. I don't want to see humanoid Metroids, you know, like with little Metroid heads.
Like human bodies with little Metroid heads.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
You know, that's part of the problem. That movie did so bad that's one of the reasons why you don't see more Nintendo movies. Like, you know, what would make a good movie is Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
but Legend of Zelda, Metroid, there's some good ones out there. And Nintendo just refuses after that tank. Now, I don't know if their mindset has changed. I'm sure it has, but they were really wary of making movies for a long time as a result. And that's one of the things I think that's blowing up the Metroid movie.
I guess if you were to make a movie, I mean, how many Mario games did they make after that movie? I guess they kept making them, and the Mario. I'm just
An
wondering if the
uncountable
movie
number.
did the movie like affect the sales of the video game? Like, I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't make it.
No, that video it didn't affect video game sales at all. It didn't affect the Nintendo. It affected their name recognition, and I think they lost money, like a lot of money, on the movie itself because it had a pretty high production budget.
And right now might not be the best time to be breaking into movies like that because theaters being down, they're going to have to figure out a way to recoup those losses. And this HBO Max thing is not going to do it. Like, they're going to lose so much money with all these movies now. I wonder what they're just going to have to take the cut. I mean, that's the only way I see it happening. They're not going to make billion-dollar movies anymore. Like, this is not going to happen. We're probably going to have a few years of some really crappy movies. In fact, this is probably the last year of really decent movies, minus the blockbusters that Disney's going to be making, Marvel.
But hopefully, this is going to be a good thing. Like, I like a good blockbuster just like everybody else, and I don't think those are going to go away. I do think we're going to see a reduction in the amount of these really big budget movies, but that's okay. This is going to give this is laying the groundwork and getting some room out there for some of these independent artists who get stuff done. It's an opportunity for them to get their work out there in front of eyeballs, and I wholeheartedly support that. I mean, that's basically what is happening with The Mandalorian, and I'm loving it. I want to see these guys that are scraping and really trying to put out some art. I want to see that happening.
I do like this concept of, like, movies are almost outdated anyways, right? Because you get like a standalone story arc, and then boom, you're done. Maybe you get a sequel or another sequel, but like, the ongoing saga, it's like a TV show. That's kind of what Marvel did with the Marvel movies. It's just incredibly long shows, but they did so many of them that it works, and that's cool. But the great about The Mandalorian is that it's like watching a movie, but it's in a little. I wish the episodes were a little longer, but then they'd probably have to stretch these storylines out. It'd probably be bad if they did. But I kind of like this cinematic version, like TV shows. That's a cool futuristic thing.
They're now like these things. Now there's still some episodic tendencies of like The Mandalorian. Like you still have kind of the tendency where you start an episode and you end it on a relatively even keel. Not quite so much as an ABC, a show on ABC. They actually go off kilter a little bit, which is nice, because it does fulfill the events of the entire story arc. So basically what you're getting is a movie with chapters, but those chapters don't have the tendency of deviating too much from start to finish.
Yeah. As a kid, I always wanted a movie theater. I always wanted to be able to watch movies as they came out at home. Like, that was I wanted my own personal little movie theater, and I've kind of done it in my studio here. I've kind of made my own little personal movie theater, which is cool, because now I'll actually be able to watch blockbusters, as they come out, assuming I get that subscription. I haven't yet. I'm not forward to it any day real soon, but eventually, I guess HBO Max, if that's the one that's doing all these movie releases, that's probably the one I'll get, and then watch the big screen. That'd be a really cool thing. It'd be like a childhood fantasy come true. But on the other side of that, I do kind of miss going to movie theaters. Like,
there's a movie.
Making an event.
In February 26th is a movie called Nobody. Have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
It's not something that I would have really gotten excited about in the past, but because of events nowadays, this is a movie that I've set my sights on. Like, I like what I'm seeing in the premiere. Not outstanding, it's not great, but I'm going to go ahead and get excited about this. Like, I'm going to the movies February 26th. I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to watch this movie, and I'm going to enjoy it like an old school movie. Even if I've got to wear a mask, I'll wear a mask, whatever. But I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy Nobody. That, like, I've already set my sights on it.
What's the premise for this movie? I haven't heard of it.
It's kind of basic. It's this dad, suburban dad. He's got the wife and the kids, and they live in their little suburban house. But the twist is that he is also like a secret agent operative. Nothing outstanding or new about that. I get it. But the funny thing is the character, and I don't remember where I've seen him before, but he's this older guy. And at the very first premiere, oh, yeah. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. It's by the guys who made John Wick. So there's some,
Cool.
some cool, yeah, exactly. There's some cool element to that. But the actor is like, he does a really good job with the dad role. And you're like a secret operative person, like, I don't see it with this guy. Like, you're going to make this guy an action hero? But the comic element of this guy, like, they do a really good job with the action sequences. They John Wick it up with him, like, beating up people and doing all this stuff. And it's kind of comical seeing that coming from this guy, but they also do it well. So it's kind of that funny of, like, it's funny, but also awesome seeing it all happen. And he's got the one-liners in the premieres, the things I've seen, his one-liners is, he's just got these, like, this dry, comical things that he says, and just the elements of all of these combined. I can't really throw a thing on and be like, oh my God, this is what makes it awesome. No, but the combination of the John Wick, the actor, the weird, strange way that it all seems to mold together, like it sold me. I saw one premiere for it yesterday, and so I'm buying in. I'm just going to buy in early and just have fun with it.
Look at that. I don't know if I saw once somewhere recently. I saw like a preview for a movie that looked pretty interesting. It'd be a fun one, a fun Christmas movie to take the family to. Is I think it's called Fat Man. Have you heard of that one?
Fat Man?
I think it's called Fat Man. I think it's coming out either this year. I don't even know. I just saw it. Might even be old. Who knows? It might have come out last year. I don't even know. But I think it's coming out this year. I just saw a preview once and thought that's a pretty funny concept. And I never looked into it, so I have no idea what the deal is with this movie. But I think it's called Fat Man. It's Mel Gibson as Santa Claus, and he's like Santa's had enough, like it's like that. It's a Santa action movie, but not like the Santa Claus or Tim Allen Santa Claus or anything like that. Like, it's Mel Gibson action. It's like a Payback. Santa version of Payback, which sounds pretty awesome.
Rattlesnake in the chat here says, "Fat Man like the nuke that flattened Nagasaki."
Like the nuke that. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, except he's Santa Claus. He's Mel Gibson. It's exactly like that. It's gonna flatten Christmas.
Which is more of like the Mel Gibson part is more of a nuke reference than the actual name Fat Man.
Okay, I can't see the chats for some reason on my phone, so I'm just gonna do like a little bit of looking up here. Fat Man, 2020 thriller fantasy. Like release date November 13th, so it already came out. It's already out.
Okay.
Because theaters were closed, I guess. Nobody heard of it or whatever.
So where can we see it?
I have no idea. I'm not seeing it. Probably Vudu. I'm sure Vudu's probably got it out by now.
Man, I let the Netflix account expire just by accident. New credit card, which I got to go through again. My credit card got hacked yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, I'm intrigued. I'm on it. I'll check that out.
Here we go. This is a good one right here. He's Mel Gibson. I don't know, Walton Goggins. You better watch out.
Oh, that's cool.
That's classic, right? Classic 80s, 90s. I think that's what he's going for, is those classic pointless action flicks like Demolition Man, bringing it back around. Maybe they'll have their own 3 seashells in that movie. Their own version of it. Like weird.
It's very reminiscent of the like kind of the approach that you and I had to short films a decade ago.
Oh man, y'all go okay. So you're on my channel. There's one on there called Shootout, and I don't remember what other ones are on this channel, but Shootout was just like when we make short films, we make like just out there, funny, crazy ideas.
Do you have TCB on here?
With it, huh?
I'm sorry, not TCB. Do you have BAC on here?
I think BAC might be on this one. Yeah.
BAC is. I think we need to redo that one. I think that is
I
a
totally
classic.
agree. Okay, so BAC was that short film we were trying to do, but back in the day we didn't have, like, for whatever reason, I was in between. Like, I had BAC was in between jobs where one job I had equipment and software to make a movie, but we couldn't come up with a good movie, so we made a movie called Murderous Cross-Dressing Robotic Vampire. And there was no storyline, essentially. It was just well edited, well filmed with good equipment, and everything else about it was kind of sucky, right? But BAC, we actually had a good story, but I didn't work at that place anymore, so we didn't have anything but cell phones, and we recorded and edited everything on old cell phones. Back when they each filmed with their own proprietary codec or whatever.
That was a nightmare.
So it was a film festival, so we spent a week, no sleep, like taking shifts on who was going to continue to edit, because we had to edit this thing, but after we converted footage, as soon as we could, which back then took forever, like hours and hours to convert a minute clip that we got off a cell phone.
Yep.
We had to put it on a computer, and then it was unusable, so we had to convert the footage to a usable file type and then edit it. And then we were like, a whole week of this nonsense trying to put together this thing. Plus, we had issues with actors dropping out on us, and like locations saying that we can use their location, and then at the last second they're like, no, you can't use our location. So we had to think on the fly. BAC, you watch it and you go, this is weird and dumb, right? Or it's kind of entertaining, but it's weird and dumb. But everything behind the making of that movie was like, I'm amazed it ever happened at all. And the story about making that movie is more interesting than the actual little short film itself, because everything that could go wrong went wrong making that movie, that short film.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
The entire thing was thinking on the fly, trying to figure it out, trying to make it work, make it happen. A week of no sleep and making it happen, essentially, until we eventually made it happen. And I think we might have the Film Society, or whatever the group that is, that were the 7-Day Film Festival, I think felt bad for us. They gave us Best Zombie Award for that. And we didn't actually have like zombies in it. It was for an actor.
We had zombies, but the actor who won.
Yeah, okay, so we won Best Zombie Award for the actor that wasn't even a zombie in the movie. Like,
he just acted like a zombie.
He was acting. No, he wasn't even acting like a zombie.
He wasn't actually.
Screwed him to be a zombie. So, but he was actually not even a zombie, and we won the award. He technically won that award for Best Zombie, and he wasn't even a zombie. It was awesome. The making of that movie was great. A good time. We do need to remake that. I wish we could get most of the same cast. Would be awesome.
We got to get Berto.
Yeah, Berto for sure. I mean, I think that's about it. I mean, we can get him in a whole fresh new cast. If we can't remake that movie without Berto, because he's the one who made that movie funny.
I totally agree. And I think it would be comical to see you and I reprising our roles, old and fat.
I can't fit through doorways anymore.
Right? Like, I forgot about that. Climbing through the busted door, and I came in through the window on that one. Then we went back out through a window, and Berto twisted his ankle.
Which was part of the story. We turned it in. That was another thing that happened that we turned in. We had to think on the fly and make it part of the story, which was funny. But I don't even think that scene made it into the actual short.
I think it didn't make the cut. We run out the window, and then we're like at the next house.
Another problem with this movie was that we had 8 minutes. It had to be no longer than 8 minutes. We had like aspects, like there's what do you call them? These things that you have to do in the movie to make sure that you filmed it during the
elements.
Time. The elements. It had to have a star was the prop.
It had to have a star. It had to have a star, and so we had Star Beer. We made those logos, but it turned out it had to be an actual star.
Really? Was that it? I thought that it.
Yeah. So we ended up. So that's where we ended up doing that throwing star in the photo real quick, just to make sure.
I think we did that just to play it safe because I see. What we liked was that they give us the rules and then we get real vague with it. Like they say the prop star. So what is it? What's a prop? Does that mean it has to be an actual star? Could it be star beer? You know, like we got creative with it. But then we asked somebody, I guess one of the judges, or if it had to be an actual star, or if it could be like a title, or it's a star, but it's still a prop. And then they said, well, we didn't think that deeply about it, so make sure that it's an actual star just to play it safe. So we had the Chinese throwing star thing in there.
Yeah, yeah.
They should have, like, in my opinion, they should have been like, no, that totally works. Because
it probably would have. I don't recall it being a thing that nobody ever said like, oh, your idea is bad, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But they were like, hey, just like you guys are kind of good at this, the elements aren't really like an issue for you. Would you mind just like making it
doing
like
it?
Yeah, it was something like that.
We're always trying to bend all the rules and everything. And then the quote, we got the quote off by like 2 words, so we had to dub in the actual quote because we couldn't refilm it at that point. So we had to just dub in the audio over a scene, which looks ridiculous, but it makes it funny. And
actually, you know what we need to do? Let's and we're kind of running on the hour and a half mark here. Let's have a sit down and let's do an entire video about the behind the scenes stuff of the 7-day, movies in general.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that just for fun one day. Let's just make like a little podcast episode out of it.
That sounds awesome. We could show it. We might be able to show it.
Yeah, we could actually edit this thing to where we could actually show some of that footage and stuff too. On that note, though, we do need to shut this thing down. I really got to go to the bathroom here. We've been at it for an hour and a half. So, Peter, dude, it's been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for having me on your channel. I've enjoyed being here today. I'm looking forward to seeing the comments, and everybody who is still, sticking around watching this whole thing, leave a comment down below and a big thumbs up. We appreciate your doing so. Answer all the comments as quickly as we come across them. But thank you very much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy your week. Peter, what you got?
That's it, man. I say have a good week, and I'll see you next time.
Sounds good, man. We'll see you all in the next one.